Hello and welcome back to our Zettelkasten 101 series. Today we are tackling a big question. How do we build meaningful links that actually serve us and our system? Are your links starting to feel shallow or even perfunctory? It's a very common problem in PKM systems, and when you Google about it, you usually get vague advice such as just make better connections. So here's my take. There is no such thing as good or bad links. There are only efficient or inefficient links. Why does this distinction matter? Instead of asking whether a link is correct or not, we should be asking, does this link do enough for me to justify the effort that it takes? In a Zettelkasten or any other PKM systems, the more interconnected your nodes are, the more robust and powerful your lattice work of knowledge becomes. So, in theory, every link you make adds value, regardless of how or what you link. But in practice, we often find that while some links grow our ideas, there are also links that just grow our workload. And this is where efficiency comes in. I think it is extremely important for us to define link quality in terms of personal efficiency, because this breaks the illusion that there is a universally correct way to link, and instead, it reframes the question around our own goals, needs, and thinking style. It also hits something that's even more important: consistent use. The real strength of any PKM system comes from being able to use it regularly and letting that effort compound over time. So, if your linking process has too much friction, then it is likely that you wouldn't be able to keep it up. And when we start looking at links through this lens, we see that most pain points boil down to two problems: high effort links and or low value links. Both of them are seductive in their own ways. On the surface, they both give the illusion of progress. High effort links are usually complexity masquerading as mastery, and low value links create busyness masquerading as productivity. Let's break them down. High effort links are the ones that take up too much time or mental energy to make, whether it is from overcomplicated formats, excessive link density, or duplicated effort from links that serve very similar purpose. Over time, high effort links that are not generating proportionate returns can start to burn us out because of how high maintenance they are. So, if you've ever started to feel like this, it's usually a sign that you have over-engineered your system. Low value links are the opposite problem. They are usually very easy to make, so much so that they can start to dominate our system. And while every link technically adds to the overall structure and connectivity, too many low value links don't just create clutter, they devalue our systems. When our links don't give us meaningful returns, we start questioning the point of this process, and by extension, the value of our Zettelkasten itself. With this efficiency framing, improving links become a simple question of how can we decrease effort and or increase value. Let's start with the straightforward part: reducing effort. To do that, we need to look at our workflow. How can we actually cut friction and make building links feel easier and more natural? Here are 4 strategies. First, try linking while you're consuming the content. The easiest time to make a connection is when you're freshly introduced to an idea. Before the context fades, jot down 1 or 2 quick connections as if you are taking a fleeting note. You can prompt yourself with questions like, what does this remind me of? Or where have I seen this before? Think of it as living breadcrumbs. These links don't have to be fleshed out. They can just be keywords or loose pointers. The goal is to keep the process spontaneous and lightweight, but it also makes it easier for us to pick things up later when we are consolidating our notes. Speaking of prompts, try using a template when you are doing the actual note-taking. It removes the cognitive overhead for deciding how or what to link. One of the prompts I like to use is what I call the directional thinking framework. An easy way to remember is by imagining a compass. North is about where could this idea go? What's the next step? South is about where did this idea come from? What's the backstory or cause? East is a challenge. What does this idea oppose? Under what conditions might it fail? West is support. What does this idea build on or reinforce? What gives it strength? And if you're working digitally, just bake your favorite prompts into a template so that they're ready to go anytime. Most of the friction in linking comes from not knowing where to connect a node. A fixed prompt set can help us get over this mental speed bump by introducing a checklist instead. When you're building up your own set, just be mindful of the length. You don't want it to be so long that it becomes a chore itself. And if you haven't already, set up a regular review where you look back at what you've written for your Zettelkasten. This could be fortnightly, monthly, whatever that feels sustainable for you. It is not possible to capture every single link in one sitting. A Zettelkasten is emergent, and we should give ourselves and our system time to build up and evolve. Sometimes I also like to just pull out a random node and see where it goes from there. You can try prompts like, does this relate to anything I've added recently? Has my thinking on this changed? Or how can I challenge or extend this idea now? Lastly, we can reduce friction by using tags or maps of content to offload some of the organizational burden. The key here is to keep their roles crystal clear. We want these tools to support our linking strategy instead of blurring into it. Tags are great for quick and low-effort categorization. Personally, I use tags for metadata, properties that will help me retrieve a node later. For example, I tag things such as node type, status, or MOCs. These are things that I will not turn into standalone nodes because they are just properties. They are useful for queries, sorting, and surfacing relevant stuff when I need it. Basically, they are purely administrative. MOCs, on the other hand, are great for a more refined structure. Think of them as custom dashboards or tables of contents. I use them for macro-level organization. For example, I have a games MOC that is basically a dynamic table which lists all the games that I own, their player count, and ideal group size. This table updates automatically whenever I add a new game node, so it doesn't require any upkeep from me at all. It's essentially a personalized dashboard that highlights variables I'm most interested in. I also use MOCs for emergent themes. When I sense a topic is starting to develop, I just drop the nodes into a placeholder MOC as if it's a holding vote and just let the idea grow on its own. I think one thing we tend to forget is that there is no need to force a structure immediately. I like that this is a simple way to avoid link chasing while giving our thoughts time and volume for meaningful patterns to form. Now that we've covered some strategies for decreasing effort, let's talk about how we can increase value. As we've established earlier, your Zettelkasten is set up to serve a personal purpose, and the value of your links depends entirely on what you're trying to achieve. So, here are 3 common use cases and some strategies that I think can help your links work harder. The first use case is for learning and retention. Here, the main job of your Zettelkasten is to help you understand a topic and remember it better, whether it's for school, picking up a new language, or personal growth. In this mode, your links should reinforce connections between key ideas, definitions, and context. Essentially, we are trying to mimic how memory works through association. By deliberately building these connections, we can strengthen the mental pathways and make recall more intuitive. Here are 3 linking strategies. First, high-density linking is actually helpful here. Even shallow links can serve as memory cues. The key is to really lock in when you're building links because linking is just as important, if not more important, than writing the node itself when it comes to learning. To make your links work harder, you can also frame both directions as active questions or prompts. If you can tie in personal applications, it will work even better. Here's an example. Let's say we are a nutritionist and we are learning about these 2 concepts here. Instead of making just a static link, we can make use of the directions to strengthen our learning process. For example, When we want to link from intermittent fasting to circadian rhythm, we can link it using a question such as, how does the timing of my meals affect my body's natural rhythm? And we are linking from circadian rhythm to intermittent fasting. It could be positioned as a question such as, which intermittent fasting schedule best fits my personal sleep and activity patterns? Lastly, we can identify emergent hubs by looking at link density. For example, if you have a node with a lot of connections, you can elevate it into a focus node and pay extra attention to it. Think of them as subway or bus interchange. These nodes act like mental shortcuts for your recall, as they are the key nodes that branch into many other associations. Our next use is for synthesis and curation. Here, the main job of your Zettelkasten is to help you build something from what you already know, whether you're a writer, researcher, or thesis student. In this mode, linking becomes a creative process. It's not just about organizing what you know, but experimenting and playing with connections to produce new meaning. In this workflow, your links may not be efficient in the traditional sense, but rather they're often messy, tentative, and unexpected. Their main goal here is to inspire. Pay extra attention to nodes that disagree or contradict each other. We can aggregate them into tension zones and use them to generate insights or arguments. Secondly, find out where your ideas accumulate. Have a look at your link density and pull out nodes that have the highest inbound links. These are where multiple conversation threads converge, and they often represent your implicit conclusions across several trains of thought. Assess their depth to see if you're satisfied. Are they fully developed, or are they just placeholders? If they're shallow, refine or expand them further to strengthen the core insights of your system. Lastly, question-driven links. Usually, Zettelkasten insights develop bottom-up because of its emergent nature. But it is nice to invert this process once in a while so that we can focus our exploration on where further development might be needed. Instead of linking nodes by similarity, start with an open question that is relevant to your synthesis goal. Then review your nodes to see if you can build a narrative to answer that question. This can help to surface gaps or opportunities in your system. Finally, we have personal knowledge and archival. This is your second brain, life tracking, personal reflections, or curiosity logs. In this mode, you are playing the long game. Most links won't pay off immediately, but they'll compound over time. The goal here isn't perfect structure. It's a sustainable workflow. Your linking strategy should focus on reducing friction to make the system enjoyable enough that you want to keep using it for years down the line. Here, regular reviews are especially important. Instead of aggressively strengthening connectivity, we are playing more of an observer's role. We are looking to build more retrospective links that trace relationships and growth between our past ideas and current reflections. An interesting experiment could be tracking how your thoughts on certain subjects develop over time. You could follow how your understanding, opinions, or insights change and spot patterns or shifts in your thinking. Over months or years, this becomes a powerful reflection tool that adds depth to your personal knowledge system. Because this system is meant to last, being able to find your notes later becomes more important. So take your time to create useful entry points that will make searching easier down the line. In this scenario, a digital setup has obvious advantage as a lot of the heavy lifting is already done. You can simply search and pull up any note based on its content. At the end of the day, we must remember that our PKM system grows with us. That means that our goals might also evolve over time, and so should our strategy. What feels efficient today might become overhead a year later. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful and see you in the next one. Bye!